and welcome to the Pursuit of Happiness podcast. I'm your host, Wienanda van Delft. I'm a health and mindset coach, spaghetti and ice cream lover, travel junk, and a cat mom. I love conversations that are on a more raw and deeper level. So today's guest is Amanda Sallander. Amanda is a transformational leadership and manifestation coach motivated to inspire through her story. She's passionate about helping others to move through pain, loss, and adversity without losing themselves in the process. She is, I would like to say, a fitness master. She knows everything about fitness, yoga, chakras, Tantra yoga, and a lot more. Today we are going to talk about fear and, again, a lot more. So let's get to it.
So, I've been in the fitness and wellness field for as long as I could remember. Growing up, I, would go to fitness classes before school,
Wow.
6 a.m. before middle school, and I would sneak into my parents' room at night to watch Body Electric with Margaret Richards and make my own weights. So health and wellness have always been a high value of mine. And I went to school for teaching because education is also a big value of mine. And during that experience, I started teaching fitness classes. And during that time, everyone kept asking me to teach yoga because I taught every other format. And yoga was something that I avoided for a long time because I didn't understand it. And I didn't want to teach something that I didn't fully understand.
Yeah.
So ironically, that kept pushing, and yoga found me because when I pursued a lifelong dream of mine to work for an international resort company, I then had to learn every format and every style. And so I then started taking classes and reading books. And during that time, I realized that yoga was just something that was just waiting for me to come to. It just resonated with me. And during the time working for this vacation resort, I then started having teachers, other yoga teachers or acupuncturists, people in the the non-traditional medical field come take my classes, and they would say, "Hey, Amanda, let's sit down and I'll teach you more about the chakra system and the philosophy and the history behind it." So ironically, that was traditionally how yoga was done 5,000 to 6,000 years ago, was the guru and the student sitting down in front of the guru and learning all about the practice. So, the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Well, that definitely,
you.
yes. Yeah, that was definitely the case for me. And so then I had an opportunity to travel abroad. And during that time, I was put in an uncomfortable position, to perform in a circus show, which was way out of my league. I've never, I did a little performing in the Florida location, but this was totally new for me, and I had 2 weeks to learn the number. And I had a partner that didn't speak any English. He only spoke French, and I only spoke English, so there was a communication barrier.
Yeah.
But I took all the principles that I learned, in my past experience with yoga, and applied them to be able to move through my performance anxiety. And it was definitely prevalent because every day during practice, I failed every number, to the point where no one believed in me but myself.
No.
And where they were going to replace me. And so I had to basically beg the people who worked there, or who were in charge of the circus show, to give me a chance, that I knew I could do it and I believed in myself. And that was when I really put yoga into practice, and was living it myself. So I spent every day after my day job going over my numbers visually and through meditation, using breath control to really learn how to focus my energy. And so when it came down to the day of performance, I was able to channel all of that focus and work through my nerves and be able to perform.
Amazing.
So it was interesting because through that experience, I learned the power of believing in yourself, and it's okay if no one else, in the world believes in you, as long as you believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And I also learned the benefit of anxiety. So,
Really?
yes.
Tell me about it. What is the benefit about anxiety?
We'll get into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because actually there are some, and people can tend to think that it's a bad thing. But really, that is what motivated me to spend that time practicing, and to take the tools that I learned and apply them. Had I not had a certain level of anxiety, then I may not have been driven to be so prepared.
Yeah.
So, the saying, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. It's like that. It's anxiety helps us to be more prepared for when the opportunity arises for us. Because it's a driver, a motivator. So after that, I realized that I wanted to really learn more about the practice and transition my career from a fitness oriented, type lifestyle to more of a balance, a mind-body balance, mind-body-spirit balance. And so then I went on to further my education with teaching yoga. So I, acquired what they call a registered yoga teacher 200 hour, as well as a 500 hour, which specialized in yoga therapy. So that I was able to get a broad range of different practices and different styles of yoga, and how to work with people more personally and intimately. And during that time, one of those topics or segments was Tantra yoga. And that really resonated with me. However, at the time, I didn't really consciously think it was a path. But then somewhere along the way, just like yoga found me, Tantra found me. It's interesting how things work out.
Yeah.
So I lived in San Diego for a few years, and that's when I was among a lot of other teachers and other healers, and I got into reiki energy healing. And after that, I moved to Chicago, which is my hometown, and started my business. So this was about 10 years ago. I had a certain idea in mind where I was going to predominantly provide personal training and yoga services. And after a few years, it took a life of its own. And it then took me into the direction of healing and Tantra. So I was just kind of looking to see what else was out there. And it just, like I said, it just came to me. And so I ran with it, and I got certified through that. I'm a master Tantra teacher. And I applied the principles that I learned through, I had a couple Reiki master teachers that changed my whole outlook on things. And I also incorporated that into my sessions. So it was really a combination of yoga therapy, Reiki energy healing, and Tantra healing that I used then with my clients after some years of starting my business. And so it was authentic and eclectic, because to combine all these together, it was very different than what people were used to. So I learned along with my clients, because it was a journey that I took them on. And I was able to transform and grow through other people's experiences and journeys. And most of my clients were actually coming to me also for performance anxiety issues. So it's ironic
Because you had that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was my experience.
So how did you help them, or how do you help people in general to overcome that performance anxiety? Because you said anxiety also is a good thing. So how do you do that?
Well, it's really quite simple. I think a lot of times we make things complex because that's where our mind goes. But really just going back to the basics and keeping it simple and showing love, really. Because anxiety and stress are just physiological responses to fear.
Yeah.
We're faced with something that maybe that's unknown or that's scary, and so we get anxious and stressed from that emotion.
And the
And so
possibilities that may happen, all the what ifs in our heads that are building up that feeling.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And I do that too. Like, I'll go to the worst case scenario
Oh, me
with
too. I think everybody does.
And, statistics will say that, or research will say that that is actually a good thing, because then you can be pleasantly surprised when things don't turn out as
True.
complicated or as awful as you thought they would be.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've had that a lot actually, that at the end of it you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Because you have so much expectation and so much pressure that you put on yourself, and all the thoughts like, what if, and what if this happens? And then in the end it doesn't. And you're like, oh, wow. So yeah, yeah, it's a good thing sometimes, because you prepare yourself for the worst. So you're mentally already in that state of like, oh my God, and you already have solutions for that in place. What if that happened? You have that solution. If that happens, I have that solution. So I understand what you mean, that anxiety can be a good thing because it can
Yeah.
prepare you. Yeah.
And it's really just, finding that sweet spot. So, like anything else, coming to a balance is healing and grounding. So, loving your anxiety is what I found to be helpful, and appreciating your anxiety as a source for motivation and for change and for transformation. It's only when we allow it to overcome us and to start controlling us is when it becomes unhealthy.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, if someone is afraid of flying, being
Me.
aware. Oh, you are? That's
Yes.
ironic.
So tell me, how can I fix it? I'm trying to fix it. Like, I'm focusing on breathing. But like last September, I was in a plane and we had really bad turbulence for half an hour. And at some point, I just couldn't calm myself down anymore. I was just in panic. And at that point, it was so bad that I just wanted to jump out of the plane. And even that is scary to me. But I was like, I just wanted to stop. I need to get out of here. It was really, really bad. So yeah, tell me, how can I
But
fix it, please?
you did it anyways, right? And it
Yeah,
wasn't so
that's
bad?
true. Well,
Yes.
it was the worst flight I ever had. So now, because we went to an island next to us. So next time we are going to take the boat. It takes longer, but I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, acknowledging that it's there is part of it,
Yeah.
it's, just recognizing that, okay, that's what I'm afraid of. That's my fear. But then also recognizing that it's just a thought, and thoughts come and go, and we are not our thoughts.
True.
So we cannot be anything in which we observe. So it's just kind of taking a step back. So I love getting creative, and I just came up with a quote yesterday that I originated.
Oh, tell me.
It's fear is just an inspiration to stay clear.
Fear is
So
just an inspiration
to
to stay
stay
clear.
clear.
I'm going to write it down.
So yeah, meaning that it could have a few different meanings. One is just take a step back. So almost to just disassociate and disidentify with the feeling and recognize it for what it is and appreciate it and love it, just like we would a friend or a
Yeah.
relationship. Instead of identifying with it, just create some space between the two of you and accept it for what it is. So in other words, taking a step back and getting a bigger picture of
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And also staying clear in the sense that, you aren't clouded by judgments or clouded by ego or, the things that keep you from holding you back. So fear can sometimes be a mechanism to stay put where you're frozen. There are different outcomes or effects from it. It could also be a fight or a flight response. But if we can accept it for what it is and don't try to control it or overcome it. A lot of people think that fear is something to be overcome. Like if I just overcome this, I'll be good. But
No, I think it's a practice how to deal with it. I think that's what you
yes,
get better at instead of really overcoming it.
yes, it's going through it. So we're not going over it. We're going through it. So allowing it to be there and loving it and accepting it and then going forward, going through it anyhow. So
Yeah.
knowing that, okay, I'm afraid of planes, but the probability of the plane crashing is very low,
It's
even
very
though it's a
low.
possibility,
I know.
you know,
I
and
know
the mind
everything.
goes, what's that?
I know everything. Like I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to crash. Like I'm like, if we crash, we crash. We will die. I don't care about that. It's really just to me personally. It's the feeling. Like I'm afraid of roller coasters as well. I just cannot stand the feeling of speed in combination with movement. So that's why I'm afraid of flying. But uh what I always do is focus on my breathing, but also I know I'm afraid, but I always tell myself, well, I have like a little conversation with my fear. So I'm like, okay, thank you, fear. Thank you for trying to keep me safe, but I'm okay. I'm doing fine. I'm not going to die, and thank you that you want to protect me for the possibilities, for all the things that may happen. Um, but I don't need you at the moment, so I'm putting it aside. So
Oh, good. You communicate with it.
yeah, maybe it sounds weird or silly, and maybe you think I'm a crazy person, or the
Well, I
listeners
think
think I'm
it's
a
great.
crazy person. But yeah, I've learned that from Katie Dean. Actually, she is an Australian writer. She has a book called Becoming Brave, and there she's talking about the fear, and that's what I learned from her. So that's what I'm trying to incorporate in my own life as well, you know, like acknowledge the fear, but thank the fear that it's trying to protect you, but move on. Like, you know, thank you, but I don't need you at the moment.
Yes. And then the more you do it, the more you realize that, oh, you know, that it really wasn't that bad, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Like we said before, it's just getting better at going through the feeling instead of pushing it down or overcoming it. It's just we just learn how to change our state much quicker.
Yes. And then the more we do that, the closer we are to loving ourselves.
Yeah.
Because when we can love ourselves in totality, we're loving all the energy and emotions that are coming through us. And, you know, again, without needing to control it, but just appreciating it.
Yeah.
So that was my journey of even through others learning how to be more grounded and loving myself. Because there, you know, there is a difference between giving love and being in love, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, walking through that fear, we're actually being in love, because really love and fear, I mean, they're opposites, but they're also the same. So, like,
Yeah.
you know, we can't have darkness without light, and we can't have black without white. So we can't have love without fear, and we can't have fear without love. So it's also an indication that something really matters to us,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. True.
And the more that we are able to like walk through these fires, so to speak, you know, fires are a symbol for transformation. So stepping out of our comfort zone and walking through them, the closer we are to reaching our desires, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Magic happens outside your comfort zone is what I always say.
What's that?
I said magic happens outside your comfort zone. Like you have to step over your own boundary to change your life, to see what's out there, what's more to do, what's more to see. At least that's how I felt it, because in the beginning I was really, really afraid of, because what I'm doing now, I'm talking to you and I'm being on screen and on camera, and I use Instagram and I make videos. And in the beginning, I was so scared and it was really uncomfortable. But I'm like, no, I have to step outside my comfort zone. And now, because I'm doing that, I meet so many amazing people like you, and we have amazing conversations. And I'm like, I never would have had those if I would just stayed in my little bubble of being
Yes.
afraid of everything else.
And isn't it interesting how the universe supports us in that
Yeah,
endeavor?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I never thought about it like that. I always thought it was like hippie, and the only hippies do that, you know, because they were always talking about love and energy and the energy that flows. And I was like, you know, but I am that person right now. I'm talking about energy that flows in the universe. And yeah, it's funny how things work out. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know who's right or wrong, but in the end, I just do whatever feels right. And I really do believe that there's like an energy not really guiding us, but yeah, just showing us what feels right for you at that point of your life.
And it's all natural. You know, this
Yeah,
isn't stuff that we made up. I mean, energy is everywhere,
yeah,
you know, and love is also, you know,
yeah,
everywhere. That's what connects us.
yeah.
So it's not far out there. I mean,
No.
it's right here.
Yeah, that's true. We just cannot see it. But I think a lot of people have a hard time understanding something they cannot actually see, that they don't have it, or they cannot touch, or you know, a lot of people need to have proof or see something to believe it. But I'm like, you know, like everybody has experienced something with energy. I mean, if you come into a room and you just feel like, oh, like it feels awkward, or it feels like, or even if someone had a fight in that room before, you feel that there is something off. I think everybody has experienced something like that. So that is just the energy that is there. That's energy itself, what you feel. So it really does exist.
I think it's so interesting you said that you have to see something to believe it, or that's what people tend to think. Because I was just going to say that we don't have to see things to believe it.
Yeah.
That we can actually believe something in order to be able to see it
Yeah.
also,
I mean, love is one thing of it. I mean, we don't
yes.
see actually love. What is love, really? I should think, if you think about it, what is love? You don't see
Yeah.
it, but you know it's there. And I don't mean love in a way like a partner, like having a girlfriend or a boyfriend or husband,
Right.
wife. It's also the love you have for the world, for your children, for your pets, for just everything around you. It's there. You just cannot see it.
Yeah. And it's so personal too. I mean, just like the terms success or happiness, I mean, that could mean something different to everyone,
Yeah.
And
What does
it's just
success
all
mean
of
to
your
you?
experiences combined and accumulated that it means something personally to you.
Yeah. So what does success mean to you?
Success to me is getting closer to your heart's desires. So, like we were saying before, for me, it doesn't have to be something that I could see or touch. It could be just a feeling or a concept or an idea, having that come into fruition and manifesting it. So, for me, it's taking or aligning all of our energies so that whatever we desire or dream up of, we are able to actually bring to earth.
Wow, that's beautiful. I love that. That's
Yeah.
a beautiful way to see success.
Yeah. It's like a manifestation where you're creating.
Yeah.
I've been in times of my life where I just had so many ideas going through my head. And those are great. But until I actually put a pen to paper or a paintbrush to a canvas, um, I don't feel like it's success until there is a creation that comes from it. Otherwise it's just ideas or thoughts.
Yeah.
And we all have those. So when we can create something, I think that's when we make a difference. And touch other people's lives in
Yeah.
ways that is personal, that only you can do and that you're only here for. So I think success is really living out like why we're here to its fullest and living life to its fullest. So again, not going around our feelings and everything, but going through them so that we can live fully.
Yeah. Wow, it's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Amazing. Like we should all have that perspective of success. Like for me personally, it's just being able to do whatever I want, and in the meantime help as many people as I can. Like I don't care about numbers. Like my way of success is not to have a big house and stuff like that. I don't really care about that, and I don't really care about what I earn a month. It's really about the people that I impact every single month. Like I always say that if I can help at least one person, then I'm happy. And I truly mean it. Like that's just my ultimate, that's also my goal with this podcast, with having these conversations. If I can have help at least one person bright up that day or see another perspective on things, I'm like, "Oh, my job is done." It makes me feel happy, it makes me feel good. And yeah, it's just that's my thing. And I think that comes back to what you see as success as well. Uh it's creating something. Even, you know, it's not creating something for myself, it's creating a beautiful life for other people around me.
Right. Like, for instance, being here with you today, this is success for me
Yeah.
because I'm able to use my voice in a powerful and also in a positive way, so that it's I can help people on a higher level and for the greatest good. So
Yeah.
I don't really care what comes out of it. If no one listens to it, fine. I mean, I'm sure there will be, but um, it's the process of being able to speak up about things that matter to me that is successful. And the outcome, is just like a byproduct.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's
Exactly.
really up to the universe. But as long as I can just keep acting upon like what's valuable to me, then I think things will just eventually fall into place.
Yeah, I believe so too. So one of my last questions: how does the yoga and the tantrum, the tantra yoga?
It is
I'm
like a
sorry,
tantrum.
it's like a tantrum. How does that? How is that um, creating a balance in your life?
um, well, I mean, yoga by definition, or it means to unite, and hatha by definition means sun and moon. So really, yoga by definition is bringing two opposites together. Um, and it really is all just a balancing act. So I learned through the both of them. What was your question again?
If it how it all balance, like you are practicing yoga and in the beginning you thought it wasn't something for you, but now you've created this balanced lifestyle that you are in tuned and aligned with your mind, body, and soul, with your spirit. So how does that help with that? So how can you, for example, can you give the listeners an idea of how it works, or why they should do yoga? What are the benefits? How can that help you to balance out your life?
Well, it is a practice. So it is something that we continue to do on an ongoing basis. So it's not something that we can necessarily intellectualize and then we're good.
Yeah.
It's something that is transformational in the sense that it's non-linear. We can progress, we can degress. There may be times where we feel like we're off balance, and then we have to come back to ourselves and check in with ourselves. And yoga helps us do that because we're turning our energy and our focus inward. During most of our life, our energy is outwardly focused, on our
Yeah.
careers, on our families, whatever it may be. And so it's giving us the time and space to then turn inward and listen to our breath, listen to our feelings and our emotions and our needs. And so when we're listening to ourselves, we can become um, calmer, we can become clearer, we feel more understood, and it helps us to then move forward through wherever we're at, at that time.
Yeah.
So energy is always moving. And if we can just tune in and check in without, like we were saying before, without identifying with it, that's when we become stuck, is when we are, the saying, the only thing to fear is fear itself. Well, actually, that's kind of passe, because fear is nothing to be feared. It's when we think that it is when we stay stuck.
Yeah.
So yoga helps us to be able to take more of an outside point of view and be able to have more an observer's mind and see that, that we are so much more than that,
Yeah.
and that's just energy moving through us. So it's a practice that we have to constantly do and come back to. We always have to come back to ourselves. because we can tend to lose ourselves. I lose myself very easily. Like I get lost everywhere. That's my thing. I mean, I go hiking, I get lost. It's just, I don't know. But the amazing thing is that in those times where I get lost is when I find that deeper connection with myself.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's like it becomes clear of what you really want. It becomes clear of who you really are. Every time when you go down, it's like you dig a new self of yourself. Yeah, a new
understanding.
A new understanding. Yeah. It's like that. I think so. Yeah.
So it's really all just like a learning process. And if we could see it that way, that it's information for us to learn more about ourselves and, you know, what matters to us and our values, then it's all worth it. You know, it's all part of the process. So I feel like a lot of us are in a hurry to get somewhere. Like even in yoga, like we think it's, you know, about the final product or the pose. Like, oh, if I just stick it perfectly, you know, then I got it. I'm great at this. But it's really more about the process of getting there. And there's really no there, you know, it's here, you know, where we are.
It's actually going into just being. That's the journey. It's just be at that point.
Right. We're called human beings, right? We're not called human doings.
Yeah. True. Yeah. Never thought about it like that, but yeah. That's true. Yeah.
I think we just put a lot of pressure on ourselves, you know, that there's something we should be doing or somewhere we should be going. But really we are where we're meant to be, you know?
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, I 100% agree. Okay, last question. What is the biggest lesson that you've learned from your experience, or a lesson that you want to share with the listeners that you are like, this, if you need to focus on one thing, then this is a great lesson to keep in mind.
There's so many lessons. Okay, well,
I know.
I would say that it's good to stay true to your values. And I would say the biggest thing that I could tell people is that we can lose a lot in life. How I was saying before that, you know, we cannot be anything in which we observe. I mean, I've lost a lot of possessions. I've lost a lot of relationships. I could go on, you know, but the one thing that someone could never really take from us and that we can never lose is our integrity. So what I've learned is to stay true to myself, and my values are my compass. It's my, you know, my way around life. And if I do feel like I'm getting lost, you know, whether I'm losing things, including myself, then coming back to my core and my integrity and being authentic with how I live and how I speak and you know, from a place of from my heart, then we can feel whole and complete as we are, and we're not always searching for something outside of us. So I would just say, you know, stay true to your values, and anything that doesn't align with it, it's not meant for you, you know, and being able to just let go of the things that really aren't in line with who you are and your values. And that's okay. That's how we come closer to, you know, our authentic self.
Yeah, I love that. Amazing. So if people want to reach out to you because they think this is interesting or they want to work with you, how can people find you?
That's a good question. Thanks for asking. They could find me on social media. So my Instagram name is Akasha Lander. Just like in Sanskrit, Akasha means sky, so it's spelled Akashallander. You could always search my name as well, which is Amanda Sallander. The last name is spelled Sallander. And I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, and Instagram are my main portals. I also have a website. It's called RPT Services. So not the letter R, but OUR. P as in personal, T as in transformation, services.com. And there I offer workshops and events, that sometimes are ongoing or can be just one-off events. I do host small group yoga that people can join. I enjoy the small groups because we can get personal, intimate. I can see people. I can adjust according to their limitations, their strengths, and their needs. And I also do hold seminars. So I have one coming up. I'm calling From Feeling to Healing. So it's going to be a 9-week event or process where I incorporate yoga, yogic techniques, but it's different than a traditional yoga class because it's more about exploration and play versus having it be so structured. We're gonna go from this pose to the next. So it's gonna be more holistic in that sense, where we have more discussion and homework and discovery. So I'm gonna begin that in the 2021 year. Yeah, so you can stay tuned because I'll have different things rolling, but at the moment, the main thing I have is the small group yoga classes so that people can still have some kind of support group and community, but they don't feel swallowed up in numbers where I can't see them and keep them accountable.
Yeah, I love that. Otherwise, it's just too much, and now you have a really personal touch.
Yes. Yeah, that's my thing is having it be personal and intimate. So and I do some one-on-one healing sessions. I do that either virtually or in person, although I am limiting the in-person, putting a lot of boundaries around that, which is actually a good thing because then I'm able to really work with the people who are serious about coming for that reason. And so anyways, my space is in Phoenix, Arizona. If anyone's in the area, they could always come see me, or I also do virtual, which is also as effective. There isn't the touch, but we get all the other elements in it. So something's better than nothing.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, I want to thank you for this amazing conversation, and I really enjoyed it. I loved it. It was really great. I want to thank you a lot for today.
Well, thank you. It was enjoyable for me too. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.